thoughts. Everyone who was ever a part of my life has vanished. One by one, they all left me behind. I never want to experience that agonizing feeling of being abandoned ever again. If I go with this general, what's to stop him from just casting me aside when he's done with me? No, I will not go. I am better off completely alone. Looking up, he bowed respectfully. Thank you so much for your immense generosity, General, but please forgive me. I cannot go with you. Hearing this, the general mused to himself with a trace of disappointment. What a shame. The boy clearly possesses remarkable talent. I genuinely thought taking him in would be beneficial for both of us. Aloud, he simply said, "Very well, young man. Take good care of yourself." As the general turned to walk back to his carriage, little Raimi suddenly rushed forward. She grabbed Baek's hand tightly, tears welling up in her eyes. Baek, please, you have to come with us." Baek blinked, completely thrown off by her outburst. "Raimi, what's wrong? Why are you doing this? Sangha, please, you just have to come," she sobbed, tightening her grip. "You are coming with us, and that's final." Seeing her tears, Baek's stubborn resolve completely shattered. He simply couldn't bear to see her cry. Ultimately, he relented, purely for her sake, and agreed to join them. The procession began its journey back to the capital. Baek sat quietly on horseback behind one of the imperial guards, his mind drifting as the scenery blurred past. He had absolutely no idea what the future held for him. He knew the only reason he had agreed to uproot his life was because Raimi had started crying. In my entire life, only 2 people have ever shown me this kind of pure, unconditional affection, Baek thought softly to himself. First my mother, and now this little girl. How could I possibly turn my back on her? I will go with her. He knew with absolute certainty that if Raimi hadn't pleaded so desperately, he would have chosen to stay behind in that empty village forever. "We have arrived," a voice called out, breaking Baek from his thoughts. The guard looked back at him and said, "All right, boy, how long do you plan on sitting up there? Come on, hop down." Baek climbed down from the horse and looked up, completely awestruck. The estate of the Dongbang clan was absolutely massive, a sprawling, majestic palace. As they stepped through the grand gates, rows of servants, along with Raimi's head nanny and various maids, stood perfectly aligned to welcome them home. Raimi immediately ran into her nanny's embrace, who beamed with joy at her safe return, while the rest of the staff chorused in unison, "Welcome back, master." Baek stared at the grand architecture, stunned. "I used to think my family's estate, the Song family residence, was enormous, but this place makes our old home look small by comparison. It is absolutely breathtaking." The head nanny subtly glanced toward Baek and whispered to the general, "Sir, if I may ask, who is this child you have brought back with you?" Before her father could answer, Raimi piped up proudly, "His name is Sangha." The nanny frowned slightly, confused. "Sangha? But we have never heard of any such boy." The general stepped forward, his voice carrying an unmistakable weight. "I brought this child here myself. He is under my personal protection." The moment those words left the general's mouth, a visible shockwave ran through the servants. They stood completely frozen, exchanging stunned glances, before leaning in to whisper furiously into each other's ears. Ignoring the commotion, the general turned to his trusted right-hand guard. "Moyong, I want you to take full charge of this boy's well-being. From this day forward, he is your personal responsibility. You will oversee his training, his meals, and his education. Everything." Moyong looked surprised. "Sir, are you absolutely certain about this?" "I wouldn't have given the order if I weren't, Moyong," the general replied smoothly. "Do you have an issue with my command?" No, not at all, General." Moyong quickly bowed. "Your word is my law. It shall be done exactly as you wish." With that, Moyong signaled Baek to follow him to the side. Walking away, Baek couldn't help but look back at the whispering servants. Why did everyone look so utterly terrified and shocked the moment the general said he brought me here? What is their problem with me? He walked silently beside Moyong, but the faint murmurs of the staff still echoed across the courtyard. What Baek didn't understand was the sheer political weight of the general's actions. The servants were whispering, "Do you realize what this means? The general has only one child, a daughter. He has no son to inherit his legacy, no male heir to succeed him as the next great general. By bringing a young, educated boy into this household under his personal wing, he is signaling that this child could very well be groomed as his official successor." The years rolled by in a blur of intense training and changing seasons, and Song Baek grew into a tall, exceptionally well-built young man. One afternoon, Baek arrived at the training grounds to find his commander waiting for him. Moyong frowned, looking at his pocket watch. "You're running quite late today, Baek." Baek caught his breath, adjusting his uniform. "My apologies, General. I was tasked with escorting the young miss back to her quarters. You know as well as I do that my duties as her personal bodyguard take priority." General Moyong chuckled, picking up a heavy training staff. "Fair enough. Tell me, are you ready? Let's see exactly what you've managed to learn over these past few years." He spun the staff gracefully and added, "And honestly, why do you still insist on calling me General Moyong? We've trained together for years. You can just call me brother." Baek cracked a rare, confident smile. With all due respect, General, I find it easier to maintain discipline that way. Out here, you aren't my brother, you are my commanding officer, and I will address you as such. Moyang grinned. Have it your way. Now, tell me, is the style you've been practicing for the upcoming martial arts examination fully ready? The competition is right around the corner, and the stakes are incredibly high. Absolutely, Baek replied, gripping his own wooden staff. I have completely mastered the intricate techniques of the Kongsalku style. I've been practicing the forms every single day. Then don't just tell me, show me, Moyang roared, lunging forward with blinding speed. He closed the distance in a flash, swinging his staff down in a powerful arc. Clack! Baek raised his staff just in time, perfectly redirecting the force of the blow. Unfazed, Moyang fluidly spun his weapon, unleashing a rapid succession of strikes. Baek moved with practiced ease, smoothly countering every single movement. As their weapons clashed repeatedly, Baek noted with a smirk, General Moyang is using the exact same Kongsalku style against me. He's testing my knowledge of the very technique I just claimed to master. The training courtyard echoed with the sharp cracks of wood meeting wood. Moyang pressed on, his strikes growing faster and heavier. Let's see how you handle this form, boy. Baek simply smiled, thoroughly enjoying the thrill of the challenge. When General Moyang gets competitive, he always switches to his signature high-level patterns. This is where the real fun begins. Baek executed a flawless defensive sequence from the Kongsalku manual, shutting down Moyang's offensive streak completely. Panting slightly, Moyang stepped back, wiping the sweat from his forehead. A fierce gleam entered his eyes. Incredible. It seems if I want to break through your guard, I'll have to stop holding back entirely. Dodge this if you can. Moyang began to spin his staff with terrifying velocity, the wood blurring into a solid wall of motion as he charged forward. He stepped inside Baek's guard and unleashed a devastating thrust. The sheer pressure of his movement caused the air to crack like a thunderclap. Let's see if your textbook forms can withstand the weight of this strike, Moyang challenged. Baek barely managed to throw himself backward, his eyes widening in shock. Wait a minute, this isn't part of the Salku manual. What kind of forbidden technique is this? Moyang pressed the offensive, his voice booming across the grounds. Do you honestly believe that on a blood-soaked battlefield, an enemy is going to restrict themselves to a single, predictable style just to keep it fair? Do you think they care about following training manuals? Absolutely not. The Kongsalku style was taught to you purely so you could pass a standardized palace examination. To survive a real war, you must master an entirely different realm of combat. In a true battle to the death, no one fights clean. They will use every dirty trick in the book to tear you apart. Moyang's aura flared, his expression hardening into that of a seasoned warlord. Song Baek, never forget why you were brought into this family. Never lose sight of what you are meant to become. With a roaring battle cry, General Moyang lunged forward, channeling his raw internal energy through his training staff as if it were a deadly iron spear. The sudden surge of pressure was suffocating. Damn it, Baek thought in a panic. If I try to block this head on, my weapon is going to shatter. Before Baek could reposition, Moyang thrust his staff forward like a launched projectile. The impact was cataclysmic. Baek's wooden staff instantly splintered into 1,000 pieces, forced onto his back foot. Baek gasped. This is the legendary battlefield spear technique. He's releasing his actual internal ki, treating a mere wooden staff like a lethal piercing spear. Caught up in the raw adrenaline of the moment, Moyang had completely lost himself to the thrill of the fight, entirely forgetting that this was supposed to be a safe training match. Swept away by his own momentum, he drove forward with a lethal follow-up strike. Block this, Song Baek, he yelled, lunging with terrifying speed. Baek stood his ground, defenseless, his weapon destroyed. If I don't counter this right now, I am a dead man. Instead of fleeing, Baek dropped into a deep, hidden stance, preparing to unleash a secret technique of his own. Suddenly, reality snapped back for Moyang. A look of sheer horror washed over the general's face as he realized what he had just done. He was in the middle of executing a fatal, high-tier spear technique against an unarmed boy. At this velocity, the move was entirely irreversible. If Baek couldn't dodge it, the strike would pierce his chest and kill him on the spot. Baek, move! Get out of the way! I can't pull it back! Moyang screamed in absolute desperation. A blinding flash of dust and energy erupted, followed by a deafening explosion that shook the entire training ground. Did Baek manage to successfully deflect this lethal strike, or has tragedy struck the Dongbang estate once again? We will find out in the next episode.